Bediuzzaman, a luminary of his times. A person is, to a large extent, the product of his times. The golden ages of mankind produced great men who became their sources of pride. On the other hand, there are men who are great despite the darkness of the ages in which they appeared. It would not be wrong to call them the luminaries of their times. Bediuzzaman was just such a luminary. He illumined both his own times and will illumine times to come. Bediuzzaman's light appears to us as a brilliant radiance in a dark sky. When Socrates, Descartes, Weber, Farabi, and Ghazali were living, the light of knowledge and wisdom was shining at its brightest. Bediuzzaman, however, was a lone star. His light was brilliant, but all the more so because during that dark night when he was shining, there was no other luminary to show the way. Now we shall go outside to gaze at that luminous lone star. We see that at the end of his life, he tells those who wish to visit him, "Read the Risale-i Nur, and there you will find me." So then, to get to know him, we shall set out on a journey through the pages of the Risale-i Nur. First, we turn the pages of his biography, and there we find him as Molla Said. Though scarcely more than a child, he has proved his brilliance and is teaching people who have previously taught others. Then we see him declaring with utter certainty that he shall prove to all the world that the Quran contains the remedies for the ills afflicting both East and West. He diagnoses the three grievous sicknesses afflicting the Islamic world: ignorance, poverty, and conflict, and prescribes education, industry, and unity. He addresses thousands in the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus and urges further cures: hope, the banishing of despair, truthfulness and honesty, love, mutual consultation, and brotherhood. Next, we turn to his work called Munazarat, debates. Here he is teaching the tribesmen of Eastern Anatolia about freedom. He tells them, "I can live without bread, but not without freedom." He explains to them that despotism and bigotry have no place in religion. On another occasion, he shares his bread with the ants in recognition of their diligent cooperation and republicanism. Returning to Bediuzzaman's biography, we follow him to Istanbul. He is presenting his project for a university in Eastern Anatolia at the court of Sultan Abdul Hamid. He is explaining the necessity of the joint teaching of the religious and the modern sciences. On the door of the hostel where he's staying, he hangs a notice saying, "Here all problems are solved, all questions are answered, but none are asked." He seems to be challenging the entire world. Next, we look at Isharat al-Ijaz, signs of miraculousness, and see that it explains that Quranic commentators should also be scientists, and that there is need for scholars of all kinds. For at the present time, no single person can explicate the Quran. Quranic commentaries should be written by a committee of scholars, each a specialist in several branches of knowledge. Isharat al-Ijaz takes us to the battlefield. Bediuzzaman is now commanding a militia force, composing his Quranic commentary in the trenches and on horseback while defending his country. Undeterred by the exploding shells, he is ready to sacrifice himself not once, but 1,000 times over to discover a single mystery of the Quran. Again, his biography summons us. He's been taken prisoner by the Russians, but he is undefeated, uncompliant. What can one who has found his Lord lose? And what can one who has lost him find? Bediuzzaman returns to Istanbul. He witnesses the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and the birth of the Turkish Republic. He witnesses, too, how unbelief gains a hold in Turkey. He wants to withdraw into solitude, but bowing to God's will, he is sent into exile to expound the Quran's miraculousness. His biography informs us that the rest of his story is to be found in his work called Sözler, the Words, It tells us about the miraculous nature of the Quran, the fundamentals of belief, the need to worship. In it, Bediuzzaman sometimes depicts the speech of the cosmos while proving divine unity. Sometimes he describes the seasons while proving the resurrection of the dead. Sometimes he opens up windows in the mind while proving prophethood. Then we examine what he has to say about humanity in the letters he writes to his students at the time. He tells them about the spirit of community, love, and the importance of serving the cause of faith, of reading and study, and of patience. We find Bediüzzaman among the pages of Mektubat, the letters, while seeking remedies for other ailments. Here he dispels the doubts modernity has given rise to in believing hearts. He cites hundreds of evidences of Muhammad's prophethood, convincing both heart and mind. He tells us about the angels, the jinns, and the tricks of Satan. He speaks of the Quran and satisfies the faculty of reason. He proves that there is no God but God. Next, we see that Bediüzzaman's productive pen is beginning to write the Lem-alar, the flashes collection. Here, he addresses different sections of society. He lays the foundations for brotherhood. He offers instruction to the sick, the elderly, youth, children, and to women. He explains numerous matters from economics to the profundities of Sufism. Once again, his biography calls us. Its pages now tell us about his exile, followed in turn by arrests, imprisonment, poisonings, and torment. Bediüzzaman, however, is pleased because the prosecutors are reading about the questions of faith, even if with hostility. He is happy even to have gone to prison, for there are prisoners there in need of the lessons contained in the Risale-i Nur. He feels no hatred even when suffering the harshest treatment. The one time he raised his hands to curse those harming him, his heart softened when he saw the prosecutor's young child. Forgiving those who wronged him, he showed his elevated compassion. Bediüzzaman is driven from place to place and from courtroom to courtroom, but they can't silence his pen. Next are the pages of Shu'alar, the Rays collection, graced with discussions about divine unity, worship, the signs of the end of time. We see that he has transformed the cosmos into a vast book, letting the sun, moon, stars, and worlds speak as to a traveler. Wherever the traveler journeys, he receives the same answer to his questions. There is no God but God. Now, turning once more to Bediüzzaman's biography, we find him weeping for those innocents killed during the Second World War. He puts the world's troubles before his own. Most of all, he weeps for those who die in a state of unbelief. He shouts out that his cause will gain for a single person more than all of Europe, for his cause is to save faith. He even says that he is ready to burn in hell to save the faith of his people. Then he explains that the human race has been divided into different peoples so that they may all live together in peace. He says too that Muslims should unite with pious people of the book in order to combat materialism.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. O my God, I beseech thee through thy names. O God, most merciful, all compassionate, all-knowing, clement, one of might, all-wise, pre-eternally existent, ever-enduring, most generous. Glory be unto thee, thou art without partner or fault. There is no God but thee. Mercy, mercy, deliver us from hellfire. O Lord of lords, O answerer of prayer, O preserver of good deeds, O most lofty in degree, O bestower of blessings, O forgiver of sins, O repulsor of afflictions, O hearer of sounds, O granter of requests, O knower of things secret and hidden. Glory be unto thee. Thou art without partner or fault. There is no God but thee. Mercy, mercy, deliver us from hellfire. O God, O most merciful, O compassionate, O most forgiving, O acceptor of thanks, I beseech thee, through the beautiful names thou recountest about thyself, and thy elevated attributes, and all thy words, that thou forgivest me, and my parents, and my master, Sayyid Nursi, and the students of the Risale-i Nur, and all believing men and women, and Muslim men and women, the living from among them, and the dead.
As we travel through the pages of the Risale-i Nur, we witness Bediuzzaman's greatness, and, wondering whether other people have recognized it as well, we turn our gaze to the outside world. There we see that since his death in 1960, his works have been translated into more than 40 languages. Hundreds of books have been written about the Risale-i Nur. Hundreds of conferences have been held to discuss it and his life, and thousands of articles have been written. Institutions have been founded in the West in the name of this great thinker. We are happy indeed that this lone star has not escaped the notice of the world, and thus we conclude our imaginary journey. As we approach its end, there is something we would like to say to you who have followed it. Bediuzzaman was a luminary, and what you have watched here was an invitation to behold him. But you will find his true luminosity if you travel yourself through the pages of the Risale-i Nur.